All right. Hey, Fiberista. Oh, let me make sure I have it off. Okay. Hey, Fiberista. Welcome. It's Wednesday. You know that means it's time to go live. And so this week I'm talking about, what am I talking about? For whom do you make art? And I was thinking about this a couple of weeks ago when I posted the love letter to you guys. My family was in town and I revisited an old blog post that talks about being brave about making art and encouraging you guys to do that. So I kind of wanted to talk today a little bit about for whom you're making art. And granted, I think everybody can agree that if they're making art, that they are really making it for themselves. But at some point, people want to start to show their work, and there's always a fine line between making art for an audience and making art for yourself. Excuse me, let me get a drink of water. Hold on. All right, so there's a little bit of a fine line, because once you start to show your work, and I'm guilty of this, sometimes it's really, I find that I want to start making art with my audience in mind. And granted, that can be a good thing, but sometimes it might kind of skew your visual language. And so there's kind of a fine line between, making sure that you're staying true to what you're making, that's your creative stuff, that's part of your brand and your style, and also the commercial aspect of who's seeing this work, who might buy this work. Especially if you're putting stuff up for sale, I mean, it's easy to look at trends and want to skew your work towards that. So today I'm going to talk about that a little bit. All right, so like I said, when you're making for yourself, I mean, and that's really great, because a lot of times you can sit inside your bubble. You're not having to show it to anybody, or if you're showing it to people, you're showing it to friendly crowds like your friends and your family and stuff like that. And that's, kind of where you find your style and you find your visual language, and you're in that really sweet spot of creativity, which is really wonderful. But when you start to want to sell, a lot of times it's really easy to start to play to an audience, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think the problem is that people tend to not take a look at who their ideal audience is. All right, I'm going to show you this graphic I made. All right, so let's say this is your artwork, right? This is your artwork here, and this is what your ideal audience likes. What you want to do is to work within this sweet spot. So you're still working within your artwork, but it's something that your ideal audience would like. I mean, if you're working over here, then you're not working within your artwork. If you're working over here, then you might not necessarily be working with what your ideal customer likes. But as you get to know your ideal customer, this section gets big as these two circles overlap. All right. So I hope that makes sense. So what you need to kind of do is think about, if you're when I'm doing my weaving, and yeah, I'm in my moment of stuff, but if it's a piece that I'm thinking that I want to sell, then I have an ideal customer that's maybe a conglomerate of all of you guys, or maybe it's somebody who's bought from me consistently, and that really resonates with my work, and my work as it is unique. So if I'm making art, or if I'm creating a class and talking specifically to maybe just one of you, like right now, I might have in mind that I'm talking to one of you who I see as my ideal audience, but it also is making me able to speak to a larger crowd, because as you focus down on more specifically one person, it's going to be like you're talking more directly to a bunch of people. People are going to resonate with that. It's kind of like, okay, let's say I was making an ad, and I'm using advertising as kind of a example. If I was writing a piece for the general masses, I might say something to the effect of take my art class, it's going to be lots of fun. And that's me trying to appeal to everybody. But if I were speaking to one customer, I would say something to the effect of girl, you're really going to like this class. You know, when you come home from work, it's going to be really relaxing to sit down, kick back, get some of your favorite yarn, and just start playing. And that art's going to come through. Now you see how one's more personable. Well, it's the same when you're doing with your visual language. If you're working with an audience in mind, hone it down to one person. And it's not that one person you're only making for one person. It's that other people will feel in relationship to that you're speaking to them as well. Does that make sense? It feels like it's kind of rambling, but it's true. I mean, if you're trying to appeal to the masses, then you're watering down your message. But if you're talking to one person, if I'm using my visual language to express something to one person who I think would be my ideal audience, then that message is going to get a little clearer. It's not that I'm just talking to myself. I want to impact one person, and that one person being my ideal customer, which encompasses a bunch of people. Now, this is a lot easier to do these days because of the internet. I mean, if you were working locally, the chances of you finding your ideal people in a local setting is probably not as great as if you're online and able to impact a lot of people and speaking directly to your ideal person in the setting of the internet where, you know, you get exposure worldwide. So that's why it's really exciting when you're making art these days, because, and especially things with like fiber art, because fiber art's kind of like the redheaded stepchild of the art world. I mean, I know a lot of people don't even know what fiber art is when I say I'm a fiber artist. So when you turn around and like, so when you I just lost my train of thought. Sorry. So fiber art, it you know, when you're reaching a bigger crowd, you're more apt to find the fiber art people. I mean, because if people are on the internet searching for fiber art, then their chances of finding you are a little greater, if that makes sense. So yeah, the internet's making it a lot easier to kind of speak your voice. And don't be scared to reach out to your audience. I know a lot of times, and it's kind of sad because sometimes artists will continue to just make work for themselves, and that's fine, but maybe you are an artist because your message is meant to get out there. I know several artists who kind of have gotten into that place of making it for themselves because it's scary to put your artwork out there, and it's scary to feel like your artwork will be judged. I mean, especially, you know, like freeform art that we kind of do. It breaks a lot of weaving rules, and you know, traditional weavers kind of tend to not like the freeform art. I mean, sometimes they know that we're breaking the rules, and it makes them uncomfortable. There's a movie called Finding Vivian Maier, and I'll put a link down in the show notes. And it's a really interesting story. It's about a photographer from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and she was actually a nanny, and she was prolific in all the photographs that she would take. She made films, she took photographs, she did all of this stuff, but she never released those to the public in her lifetime. It was only that she was discovered when somebody bought a trunk of her film at an auction and started to develop it and saw that she had a really, really good eye. And she was like, her photographs are just amazing. Anyway, once they discovered that, I mean, they went back and tried and found more of her work, and now her work's being shown. but that was an example of where Vivian Meyer kind of did work for herself, but it was kind of a shame that she didn't get to participate in sharing that visual language in her lifetime. So don't be like Vivian Meyer. Go ahead and be brave enough to share your artwork. But if you're focusing on an ideal customer, then you lose the fear of sharing your work. I mean, when you know that there's somebody out there meant to see what you have to share, then it becomes easier to share. Because then you know that you're just, if the naysayers, you're not speaking to them. I'm not speaking to you. You're speaking to the people who really resonate with your work. So I hope that makes sense. Let me make sure that I am covering everything I'm saying. Yeah, so it's key to find that balance, because you want to be able to resonate with the public, but at the same time stay true to your voice. So in the studio. Hey Deb, I'm so glad you're here. And hey to Jeanette and Cynthia and Marilyn and Sherry and Kathy. Oh, I'm so glad you guys are here. All right, so let me see if I'm missing anything else. Yeah, if you play to your niche, your audience will show up, like I said, because it's going to feel like such a personal message. It's going to feel like such a personal message to that person, as well as anybody who is kind of somewhat related to that person as well. All right, and I think that's it. Anybody have any questions about that? I never thought of it. You're welcome, Jeanette. I'm glad. Well, hey, Sheila. How are you? Okay, I also wanted to mention that the Beyond the Basics, I'm reopening that. July is my birthday month. My birthday is at the end of this month, and I know that after I've closed Beyond the Basics in March, I got a lot of questions about it, and I'm opening it up on the 10th through the end of the month. I'm just opening it up for a short amount of time, and that's because I want to give people a chance to get back in there and get the Beyond the Basics class, because when you sign up for the class, you also get access to all the Beyond the Basics series lessons that I have released and I will release throughout the rest of the year. So it's a great way to get all those lessons for like a bundled price. But this is the only time I'm offering that, probably for the rest of the year, just because it's my birthday, and because I kind of hate I know a lot of people missed out on that March 1st deadline. So anyway, I'm opening up just for a little bit of time. So, and that's going to start on July 10th. And I'm put a link in the show notes on where you can sign up to get a reminder when that goes live. And it will be, again, from July 10th through the 31st that enrollment's going to be open. All right, so Miss Piggy wants to know, do you ever find it difficult to part with something you made? Oh my goodness, yes, I do all the time. Yeah, it's hard. But I think if you're kind of thinking in terms of your ideal customer, just know that it's going to a good place. I mean, know that it's going to a home where somebody's really going to love it. I mean, honestly, I have a friend, she used to own a gallery in downtown Asheville. And she said nobody buys art just as a thing. They buy art that they fall in love with. I mean, people, when they buy art, they feel really good about themselves. They fall in love with the art, and even more importantly, they fall in love with a representation of that creative genius of that artist. I mean, they buy art because they're connecting with an artist, and they really, really love that. So just remember that. So if you've got a piece, I mean, some pieces, feel free to keep what you think you want to keep, but at the same time, don't be afraid to send your piece on to a new home. I mean, when somebody's buying art, it's because they love it, and it's going to be shared with everybody that's familiar with this ideal person who's buying your art. All right, Let's see who else. July's my birthday. Oh, yay! We're gonna have to have a July birthday celebration. Give myself a gift. So happy birthday! Signed up. Oh, yay, Sheila! All right, awesome. I'm also a card maker. I have so many I've made over the years. I just can't get rid of them. Jeanette from beautiful province. Yay. Yeah. So, excuse me. So yeah. I get it. I mean, I say that, and then I've got a rack full of scars I haven't parted with, or art yarn. But yeah, don't be afraid. I mean, once it goes to the good home, new home, just know that it's going to a good place. So there you have it. Send you a picture of your artwork, and yes, yeah. Oh my goodness, right? It's wonderful to see your new artwork in its new home, or like if you're making a wearable when you see somebody wearing your work, oh my goodness, that's like, that also feels good. All right, so if there aren't any more questions, I'll sign off. Hi from Scotland, Stacy. Hey, Kathy. Maybe because I'm so far away, the video keeps hanging up behind the audio. I'll watch again tomorrow. Yeah, you know what? I think there's a lot of problems with the internet, because I know that I was having problems uploading to Instagram as well as Facebook, and I think it has to do with something going on and WhatsApp. There's something going on with the internet, and it might be affecting the video here, but hopefully it's going to resolve enough in the replay. I hope. If not, I think I'm recording this and I can maybe upload something new. Maybe not. I don't know. All right. Jeanette says, you should see all the yarn I have. I just need to focus and start using it. Oh, girl, I get it. You know, but sometimes petting stash is something real. I like to think of it as inspiration as I sit there and pet my precious yarn. Okay, speaking of precious yarn, if Facebook is not hanging up real horribly, I'm going to move over to Facebook Live, because I promised you guys on my Facebook page, not the group, the Facebook page, that I would share with you some of the crazy yarns in my stash, and I'm going to do that on Facebook. But if not, I'm going to have to upload a picture if I can do that. Anyway, otherwise I'm going to sign off. Any more questions? You guys are chatty today. I love it. I love it when you guys are chatty. All right. That's what I thought. Okay. All right. I think that's it. All right. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to attempt to get on Facebook Live. And if I don't get on Facebook Live because of the craziness that's happening on Facebook and Instagram, then I will try to do it tomorrow. All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye, y'all.